Hey guys, welcome back to Vintage Story. So I have a tutorial again today, another building tutorial. Haven't done one of these in like a year, but here we are doing them today. Specifically, making frames for your builds. So it's something that I thought I'd touch up on since it is a technique I use. And remember, this technique, you don't need to use it for your builds, but I find it really helps me to just get a really good idea of the shape before I go in and do too much detail. Otherwise, I tend to end up messing something up and having to remove so much hard work that I've spent hours doing when I could have avoided it all in the first place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by thinking of a shape. So let's say I'm going for a house that's just kind of normal looking. I'm going to do the base first. I think I'm going to make it 2 high over there, or 3 high rather, 4 high if you're including that bottom one. And I'm going to start making a general shape. Generally, I do the floor plan first, and then sometimes I do, it really depends on what I end up randomly doing. Like there, I did the wall, but you don't have to do the wall immediately. It helps to actually do the floor plan. This helps with laying out the build of a little town area or your base. You can figure out where you want everything to go and what layout is going to look the absolute best. And once you've gotten your floor plan, you can just go up and you start making little pillars in the corners, showing what you want to go over there. And that'll go up, and then you start making it come across like this. And you'll see I have this little box shape that's kind of coming along here, and I'm going to put something there as well so I can see what the frame will look like a little bit better. So across there, and then I'll put one up here. You don't have to do this in the middle. Again, this is complete creative freedom for you. It's just that you're getting a shape first. Now, in creative, this really helps. It saves a lot of time. I'm a builder. I really don't want to spend hours upon hours building something to find out that it looks really gross and not right. So I'm going to quickly go and I'm going to do this shape here. Now, what if I want a round shaped roof? Well, imagine if I made this entire roof out of the regular blocks first and then discovered, oh no, it's a funny shape. That wouldn't really work. So we're going to go in here, and I went up in kind of a zigzag, and oh, that's not round at all. Let's fix this up. So in order for it to look round, it has to go up 2, and then up 1, and then it can go across 2. And now we've got a rounded roof. And I didn't go ahead and lay it out all the way here. Now, you can do this with regular blocks. You don't have to use all these colorful blocks that I'm using here in order to do this. It just helps to differentiate the roof section from the bottom a little bit better. And I'm still trying to figure out what survival blocks I'd use because we don't have access to these creative blocks in the survival mode yet, unfortunately. And I'm just kind of making a frame here. You see, I'm not filling in anything. None of this is being filled in whatsoever, because that would be time consuming, and we don't want to have time consuming here. We want to have a really quick build. We want this to go as fast as possible. Get this. Today, I checked the stats, and I've had the majority of my views, like 11,000 of the views on my channel, are from people who are not subscribed, and then 1,000 are from people who are subscribed. So, for those of you who are watching without subscribing, please consider subscribing, as it gets me closer to the point where I can make money making these videos, and that means that I can have a job making these videos, which means you guys get more videos, and it means you get better quality content because I'm able to spend more time editing, less time at my real-time job. That's the kind of how that works. So give a subscribe. It costs nothing, and it's completely free. You'll see this is looking like a building already. Just from having this general shape here, it looks like a building. And it's a nice frame. I haven't gone in and put detail in, and I can come in and I can change things as I want later. Now, you'll notice I put this section like this, and now I've realized that I'm kind of going to need something to come out here. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks across. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks across. That means I have to make this come out one more in order for it to be the same as that roof there. I am very glad I did not make this entire section here out of solid blocks first, and then come here and figure that out. That would have really messed up with my time. So I'm going to come in here and just remove this. And then we're going to make this edit across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then bring up all those supports over there as well. All right, and now I can come here and I can do the same thing that we did with the roof there, except that this time it's actually going to look like that roof over there rather than looking like its own differently shaped roof, I suppose, which wouldn't be ideal for what I'm trying to make here. So now we have the same shape there and over there. So now I've looked at this, and you know, this is a round roof. So it would be a little bit strange if this section was just a corner. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make this section of the roof maybe kind of round over there at the bottom. Not really round because obviously these are blocks and I'm not chiseling them. We can chisel detail stuff later, but this is to get the overall shape of this build. And so I'm going to bring this in over there. And that doesn't quite curve enough for me. I don't think that's going to really suit the way that this build is supposed to be curved over there. So this looks nice and curvy, and then it's just kind of solid over here. So I'm going to make this a much more gradual curve instead. And that means I might have to curve this wall as well. So I'm going to do this there. It's too sharp. So instead, let's try there, and then going back here. 1, 2. Back 1, 2, oop, 1, 2. Now that's a little more gradual. We can have 1 in there and then 2, and now it's an even more gradual curve over there. But now that goes in too much. So you see, I can kind of experiment with the shape that I want to the build to be this way. So maybe that's a little bit too curved. Maybe I want to make the wall come in a little bit. So let's see how the wall looks if I remove this section just over there, and then I can get a shape. And I'm liking that shape already. I think it looks significantly better than what it did before. So I'm going to come in here as well, and I'm just going to copy the general curve of this over here. It doesn't need to be exactly the same, obviously, because the curve over there is much more gradual than what this one is supposed to be. But if it's the same, it does help. Over there, there, and then we have ourselves I think that slope is going to work a lot better. Now, I do want to put in something over here just to show how this direction is going to go. So we're going to just go there like that so that we can see how this is going to slope. And from here, I can now go and texture this up. And all I do is I start replacing all of my corners with something that I would want. Go with ebony. Ebony normally looks good. And then now I'll just start replacing all of these blocks here with the supports. And I'll figure out myself where I exactly want these supports to go. But I just start replacing things. And now I can also experiment with my textures this way a little bit easier. And I'm not figuring things out as I'm figuring things out as I go along, but methodically. But the texturing and replacing is a tutorial for another day. Hopefully this helps. Give it a try. The only way to know if it does work is to try it out. This helps especially on large scale builds. So for example, if I'm wanting to build a really big mansion, it's easier for me to get the shape using a method like this and blocking things in later than it is for me to build the whole thing from scratch and kind of winging it. So I can also use this to lay out a city. So I can lay out buildings, just kind of get a shape after that, texturing them and putting them in. And this helps you to get a layout for what you want, because a city is one big build. It's a lot of little builds, but the layout of the city itself is also a build, and you have to take that into account. Say I'm making a little bit more of a western town, or just a town with a single street. I can go along and I can start mapping out kind of just the floor plan for these things, and then I can go in later on and I can make the rest of it. And it doesn't matter what colors you use either. I thought I'd just put that in there. I just have two colors, one for the base and then one for the roof. Sometimes I don't have a second color, sometimes I just have a first color, And you can also, depending on if you have a specific type, so maybe regular houses that don't really have a specific purpose are blue, then you'd make a house that stands out. So a sheriff's office, police station, or a barracks, maybe a castle or a bank, you'd have that in a different color. And then that would look, normally it would look a little bit different as well. And so you just have different buildings kind of echo themselves a little bit differently. So say that's a bank, and then these are regular houses. And then maybe I'd have green over here for the sheriff's office. Or I'd have green for, I don't know, a different grocery store maybe. And you can experiment like that. But now I can have a plan where I have a sprawling city kind of mapped out, and I can take on these buildings one at a time, and it makes it a much less tedious task, and I can kind of see my end goal in sight, which is a big thing when you're building a massive area, is losing that end goal or feeling like it's going to take forever and you feel kind of like you can't do this anymore, it's a little bit rough, and then you've got at least an end in sight. You know when it's going to end, where it's going to end. It really, really helps. You'll start seeing me doing this on my live streams that I do every single Wednesday. Please come and join. You guys are allowed to suggest a build, and I will put it in the build within reason. It's fantasy themed, of course. Fantasy medieval or fantasy ancient, what would you call it? Civilization. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Anyways, bye-bye. Thanks for watching.